5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey guys, welcome to TCG eSports
Skype
number
mic,
20.
mic, Skype, mute.
Okay guys, welcome to
Nope.
TCG eSports
I hear double
number
voices.
20. And this is
There we
going to
go.
be a very nice open tournament. I'm super excited to see it today. It's a nice little small tournament that everyone can have some fun in. And I'm super excited because we see a lot of good veterans in here like Lux, Kiddo, we have Artemis, we have Grimner, Razorak, who actually fight in round 1, funny enough. So this is going to be an awesome time. Stay tuned. Sit back, get ready, sit back, get comfortable. Let's watch some games today in the last meta that we'll see in the what is this? Tempest of the Gods format. And I'm here with Glassfist. Welcome, Glassfist. How are you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, Ed? I'm having a good day today so far. Pretty excited to have everything go real well, and happy to see some good Shadowverse on this nice day.
Cool. So, anyway, we're going to be watching SN Mingles. My fault. Yeah. SN Mingles versus Mockingjay, and this is going to be the first game of today. They're going to be fighting it out, and we're actually hopefully going to see some nice decks. We're in this meta kind of spot where it's the end of the meta for Tempest of the Gods, and it's just overall very interesting because a lot of people are messing around with new deck ideas. We saw I believe it was last week, there was a Crimson Fencers versus HSK. Both have members in this tournament as well, where there was a aggro dirt rune deck. We saw a bit of Aegis happening actually Aegis Mirrors happening in the NG playoffs. And with the end of the EXG season, while this is a 3-deck 1-ban tournament, there isn't really much going on the updated format of what are good in this 3-deck format. There's not really any tournaments that have been going on for the last week or so since the end of the NA/EU, and you won't. So this is kind of blind, and this is a nice test run to see what we may see later on in EXG C/OC. That's, I believe, tomorrow night. So overall, Glass, is there any decks that you think that we may see here today?
Yeah, I think that you can, because of the way that the format is sort of shaking up, you have a lot of room to build a lineup that can be either really aggressive with a 3-deck aggression plan, like Stormhaven plus Suicide Blood, and then Shadow. You can work on sort of a more controlling format, and because of that extra leeway, I think that you have more room to play around with your lineups. So I'm excited to see some angry blood players.
Blood. So you're looking for blood. What do you think about Shadow, since the hits to Shadow have been pretty heavy? What do you think about, do you think it's going to be just normal mid-range Shadow, relying on still maybe Prince of Catacombs, or cutting it and only running Orthrus, or do you, with Ektar and all that, or do you think maybe there will be Nephthys Shadow, or do you just think that there won't be any Shadow at all?
I feel like probably more mid-range Shadow. It tends to line up a little bit better against some of the other decks in the format because you have that extra reach and a little bit more defense against the blood decks. As far as Orthrus goes, I know that from Rage, some of the events tend to have less Orthrus, but I'm a pretty big fan of that card, so I'm hoping that people are still going to bring it.
Definitely. And also, the metagame in the West is way different from what it is in Japan and a lot of places. In Japan, there's little to no Nephthys. Everyone's just still hard on for I believe it's the mid-range ledgerless that are only pulling stuff like the Liches. They're running that. Attendant of Night and Hell's Unleash are just trying to pull Liches, and some are running just Goblins. There was an aggro list in Rage, but over here we're still playing either just straight up normal normal Shadow, just normal mid-range Shadow with just a few variations, some running Prince of Catacombs only, some running both. So overall, it's just it's a weird mix that we've been seeing in Japan, but over here we're seeing more of that control style. And it's just it's very interesting to see how that is going to take place, mostly in a 3-deck 1-ban format. And I talked about that a bit earlier. But this is a different format because it's new. We don't really know what we're going to see, so I'm interested to see what we're going to get to watch today. And obviously, I think we're going to see a lot of Dragon. And I'm actually glad that we're watching a Shadow Nexus player first off the bat, because they're well known for bringing pretty interesting decks. Some tend to bring, just straight up, we see like Unlucker and all that in the NG playoffs, who brought just straight up, the basic meta, and that's fine. But if we're looking for anyone to be bringing the interesting decks, out of the participants here, it's most likely the Shadow Nexus players like Mingles. So I'm interested to see that, and also Mockingjay. I've seen the name a couple of times. I haven't really seen any breakout performances from him, so maybe he has something spicy for us today, and he may actually end up taking it home. I'm interested to see how he plays. Do you have any favorite players here, Glass?
I'm also a pretty big fan of the Shadow Nexus players. I like watching to see what they've got. I've played a couple games against Artemis myself, and I know that he's got a lot of good tricks up his sleeve, so that's pretty good. I also am excited to see some of the other Shadow decks, because the class is so open. With the 3-deck 1 ban format, there's a lot of range on what you can play, because the ban allows you to be a little bit more flexible. So I think we should have some good games with that going on tonight.
Yeah. And speaking of Artemis, I actually saw him in, I believe it was week 10 of NGE, and he was playing Daria and Seraph. So he definitely likes to bring some more Rage of Bahamut decks. So I'm interested to see if he's going to bring some more of those old school decks that have kind of been updated for this current format and all that good stuff. And I'm wondering if anyone else is going to bring that. Like we said, NEP that exists. Maybe we'll see a Wolf Bolt or two. I'm also interested to see if anyone's going to be trying out that more neutral Death Ledger list that has been running around in Japan, and seeing if it will finally fall in place here or not. So I'm just really interested to see these deck lists. We don't actually know what they are until we get to see them play it, so I hope that we get surprised today. So actually, speaking of some deck lists, Dragoncraft surprisingly being the deck that got hit the most in the nerfs, with Lightning Blast and Wind Reader Zell, actually ended up being a lot more consistent after the nerfs than even Shadow. What do you think about Dragon right now? I know personally over in Mana Surge, all of us just kind of are it's still Brick City. What do you think about it? Because Glass, I know you haven't really had that discussion too much privately with the chat. So I'd like to hear your opinion from it finally, as well as, share it here.
I think that Dragon has a lot of really good tools and options that it sort of opened up to, because they stepped away from having sort of a combo version with Zell, and they don't have to rely on having a ton of big lightning blasts towards the end of the game. It kind of allowed people to play more sort of wider variety of lists, and I think that in a format where you can't see people's deck lists, having that extra little bit of variance where you might be a little bit more aggressive with cards like Forte and Genesis Dragon, compared to you might be a little bit slower and grindier with all the way up to 3 Israfil, that extra range gives Dragon a little bit more playability in the blind. I think that helps quite a bit.
Definitely. So it's going to be interesting to see, because they have gone to the more defensive side, like you said, not really focusing on the combo aspect with Zell. But mostly a lot of people have been going to the 3 Israfal, 3 Saha. Some are not even running 2 drops anymore, outside of Lyriel, I believe. And I believe also in Rage, speaking of other tournaments, there was one player who brought back Date, the 2-mana one that enhanced 7, gets Bane, and 5/5 Rush. So that's also a card. It's going to be interesting to see, because Dragon, I really would expect to bring it here. It's pretty nice in the 3-deck formats. We've seen it specifically in the last EXG tournament that we got to watch, which was the NA/EU. Everyone brought Dragon pretty much, and I believe Dino T specifically, who won it, he actually had a really nice lineup, which was aimed, I would say personally, at least from looking at it, was aimed to beat Dragon. He brought that Seraph, he brought the NEP, both 2 very good decks against Dragon. Now that Lightning Blast is out of the way, Mordecai and Seraph are once again big issues for Dragon, because they're really slow decks. And then obviously he just brought his own Dragon, which was a bit more with Storm variants in it. And running Delirium. So I'm interested to see if Dragon will see the same performance it has in the EXG tournaments here. Obviously, there's that chance to brick in a single elimination bracket. That's a bit more risky than it is in a Swiss and then double elimination format. So maybe some are going to go to say, hey, I don't really want to take that risk of it, even though it's a super good deck when it goes, when you draw decently with it. I don't really want to risk just straight up losing because I can't draw. So, what do you think are the decks that you would personally bring to this tournament?
I'm a pretty big fan of aggressive strategies, so I'd for sure be playing the Suicide Blood list. I would probably bring Mid-Sword because I can't get myself away from Sword. And if I'm going to play an aggressive lineup in the format, I would probably want to lean towards a third aggressive deck so I can stay kind of consistent with where I'm at. And that's kind of why I like 3-deck 1-ban. I'm pretty sure it's a toss-up between Daria or that new aggro dirt list. I do need some aggro dirt. So I have a blast with the deck. I think that's probably where I would be sitting, but Stormhaven also not off my radar.
Oh, okay. Well, we actually know their classes, luckily, and we got, for Mockingjay's side, he's bringing Force, Sword, and Dragon, so we will see a Sword. We'll actually see a Force, which we haven't seen a bit recently, and then they do both actually have Dragon, like I said there, and then for Mingle's side, other than that Dragon, he's running Shadow and Blood, so kind of a pretty basic lineup that we've been seeing, and actually the lineup that won Rage with the 3 decks no ban format.
Actually, there is a ban. Dragon and Shadows is banned.
So for the bans, we have Dragon and Shadow. So Jay's Dragon's out, meaning that we're going to get to see the Force and the Sword, and then Mingle's Shadow's out, so we will get to see a Dragon play, and we'll also get to see a Blood. So I'm going to guess that Blood's going to be Vengeance or a aggro Vengeance variant, and I'm interested to see what this Force is, if it's pure Roach, if it's Silverbolt, or if it's maybe one of the ones that JCG players played with, which was where they ran Homecoming in their Roach to give it a good way to deal with stuff like Death's Breath, big wards that cost a lot to play when you play like 2 at the same time, all that kind of crazy stuff. So I'm interested to see what it is. So we're going to jump into the first match here, and let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I do enjoy the Forest deck currently. Several of them look real good. It depends on how your lineup is formatted, though. If you're like trying to be more controlling, if you're trying to be more aggressive, Forest has the tools to do both currently. So
this one's for my family.
We're
gonna see it right off the bat.
What we've got here.
Oh, but he does run the Wrath Drake and the Dragon. That's going to be a bit annoying because Force in this matchup, what they want to do is they want to tempo out with their fairies, and they want to use Lily to answer Ouroboros and some, bigger threats like Bahamut and Zeus. And they also probably, if they want, they can either go with the set that I personally like running, which is with Dance of Death to deal with big threats. And also they could go with Will of the Forest if they want to deal with more wide boards, like against mid-range Shadow. So we can't see his hand, but he's actually running Water Fairy in his Force. We haven't seen that for a long time. What do you think about the Water Fairy?
Water Fairy points itself into a pretty aggressive direction. So I don't know, I haven't played it in a while. I'm used to just having the fairy circles as like a pretty standard option, but that does...
Fairy champion.
This looks like it's a pretty aggressive list. So Water Fairy will be a good option for beating our opponent's teeth in.
Yeah, and it landed on the best target there, hitting the fairy champion. So now this Musashu, he just can't hit into it without suiciding it. So he may actually decide to hold off and hope that it hits the Water Fairy, so he can use the Grimner, get a value trade if he doesn't already do the trading for him into the Grimner, and then just throw it on Rahab. So I like it, just being patient, see what happens. But Sylvan Justice here would be a huge punish. So let's see if he has it.
Yeah, thankfully for the Dragon player, he does have quite a bit of defensive options, so it should be able to hold him over towards the mid game, but who knows? Forest has tons of burst towards the mid to late game, plus a large amount. Ooh, that's some spicy choices.
I like this guy. I like this guy a lot. Sadly, doesn't land on the Fairy Champion again, which would have been really annoying if it did for the Dragon player, because then he would have had to just use that Musashu instead of the Grimner there. But he's going to actually get a pretty nice trade here. Just be able to trade and go face. So it's actually, I know we kind of looked over the Musashu, but he's not normally the 2-drop choice for Dragon.
I was gonna say, we were too busy looking at all of these sweet forest cards we haven't seen in a long time, so like, I didn't even mention it, but he's not usually what we have there. A very powerful option though. Definitely useful for trading in the early game.
Yeah. Like, this is really interesting here. Like, we haven't seen that Musashu for quite a long time. And it'll be interesting to see. Also, this, like, these are just some really weird Forestcraft cards here. So I wonder if, like, Dragon has anything that can deal with these. Not so, like, unorthodox is probably the best word to use here. Like, Way of the Outlaw. When would you ever say that you see that card all the time? Like,
opting not to evolve there in order to keep the Musashi from getting any sort of extra trades, but Wrathdrake looking pretty good on this turn here.
Yeah, pretty nice. And you may as well just, like, if you want, you can Evo the Musashi and go face, or just go face. You don't really have to. It's just, I mean, this hand's really weird for the Dragon as well. They don't have any future turns. There's no Favor to get Steam up and also be able to curve out into, like, Ouroboros and then, you know, on just lose a mana point playing that and into, like, Genesis Dragon. There's not really anything to fill out this curve for the Dragon. So he's going to have to rely on top decks here because I really feel like this Forest player can easily just clear this board with Evolutions and Fairies and his Way of the Outlaws, which is a pretty neat card. Nice to see.
Additional removal, yeah. I would have actually considered possibly evolving the Wrathdrake. We get the extra damage on the Musashu plus a 6/6 puts it out of range of cards like Fina, which come down on 5, so it was an option. Yeah. Saving the evolves certainly useful for the late game though, so no fault either way. Both plays look good.
Yeah, so I feel like he's probably just going to want to play both his 3-drops here, or just he could also pass if he wants to. It's just this is quite an awkward turn for him altogether. I don't know about just passing altogether. I feel like you should definitely still play the Grimner just by itself because it baits out at least an evolution, and then you can use the Scyther to kill whatever you want. So that's an interesting choice to just pass the turn entirely because it gives full tempo over to your opponent. And he's clearly playing some sort of weird tempo forest type of list here. So, well, I don't even know the wolf card's name. That's how much I don't see these cards. Okami?
Yeah, you gotta draft more, man.
Dude, I never play Forest in Take 2.
That's actually pretty good. You gotta be more open to things like that. Sometimes you make those choices. I believe we're gonna wind up opting to not play Grimnir again here.
He wants to save it.
That plan.
He wants to save it for the board clear, I guess. And just evoing the Water Fairy, going aggro. That's okay. But Ouroboros is just going to clean that up, right? Like, there's nothing else really to do next turn. You're definitely Ouroborosing as the Dragon player here. Passing on 7 play points?
That's crazy. We must have some... There's either, I guess based on what we've seen so far, there's either some very interestingly crazy things in his hand, or he could have, like, jungle wardens and he wants to save them for later. As it stands though, we might be in a bit of trouble if we don't have a will.
Let's see if he's also running Lily, though. Yeah. If he is, this man is a legend. Because he'll have everything that he's had, and then he's just like, I'm going to save the Lily for Ouroboros. That's totally coming down next turn.
The Lily will look very good on this turn. We'll wind up being... We'll have at least a 3-2 in play. If not, we might have a tempo card as well after that. I believe we have a fairy in hand from our Water Fairy, so... That would wind up being quite a good turn, honestly. The Wrathdrake draw makes it a little bit more difficult.
Nah, it's okay. We got Fairy Champion Well of Destiny. We don't need Lily, I promise you.
No.
Okay. Elven Archery. Okay.
Because, indeed, I don't know if I've seen Elven Archery slay an Ouroboros before. But there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, apparently there is. This looks like a pretty easy Ouroboros and just go. Like, not really anything else to do. I mean, you don't even need to Evo. You can just sit around. But you may want to Evo, because then if he doesn't have any more wards, you can kill him next turn with that Zeus if he doesn't answer the Ouroboros. So, no reason not to. May as well force him to use his last Evo. I like that play.
And with the large amount of card advantage that the Dragoncraft player has. This does look like it's going to be pretty rough. It's basically Lily or bust.
Okami
is not Lily.
Okay. He has a way to clear. Okami coming in, just the normal force stuff.
That does clear. I'm curious what else he has in his hand that he didn't play on 7 or on 5 here. I'm hoping it's a Bahamut. I'm hoping he just smashes a Bahamut out of the table.
If it's Bahamut, this guy is my favorite player.
Down goes our own notes. Follow up with our own Bahamut. Get Zeus thereafter. Feels bad, man.
So, let's see it. Come on, Bahamut.
I'm hoping. I think that's. I mean, I don't know what you don't play on 7 there. So.
Wait, no, sorry. We're forgetting something.
Scarlet petals.
That's what we were forgetting. I knew it had to be something spicy.
This is a Rose Queen.
Well, at least we got to see it get played. But that's going to be a nice solid game there for the Dragon. Just a clean way to win. So. He had like 1, 2, he had 4 different ways to kill his opponent that turn.
Well, he has to play the Grimnir at that turn because he opted to hold it for board clears for the duration of the game. So then he has to make sure that he gets it onto the table. You have to develop the Grimnir.
Yeah. Well, let's start looking at the other options for Mockingjay. Now he's going to have to fight the Blood. He has Sword, which is kind of a weird matchup. I know when we were testing personally in Mana Search, that matchup there, Mid Sword, which I'm going to hope is the deck. Like they're even aggro Sword is pretty good. Sword has a weird matchup. It's like a 50-50 mid-range, and then it's like a 65, like 35 in their favor if it's aggro. But because I'm going to guess Mingles here, considering his Dragon was pretty basic. It's probably just another basic Vengeance Blood, which is fine. So it's going to be interesting to see if this Force deck, which normally Force is like disfavored against Blood, I would say, because there's Urias, which just absolutely destroys them. They sometimes run Angel of the Word, which just easy pings. And he leaves. So, yeah. So I guess it's just connection issues. He'll be back soon. But like, do you think this deck actually, his like tempo forced, may actually be favored against like the Vengeance Blood because it's supposedly like aggressive?
I mean, if he winds up sticking minions early versus the Blood minions, and then he has the buff effects that he had before, if he keeps a relatively decent-sized board and his opponent doesn't have an enabler on 4, he could actually just like clear his early plays. They don't have very much power. They're like 1/4s and 1/3s. If he can just beat those down, it's a possibility that he just keeps getting buffs and his guys stay in play, and that's that. But there's also a possibility his opponent plays an Airdrome on 5 with Vengeance and things get really ugly. So I suppose we'll have to see.
Yeah. Also, another thing I kind of want to go over just a bit is that, like, we saw Mockingjay there. He actually showed that he had, like, Rose Queen. He showed that he had all these weird cards, which if you're playing a deck like that in, like, a closed format, it does kind of have an advantage if the deck actually ends up working, because they don't expect it. But he actually showed information when he knew that the game was over, instead of just concealing that information, which is just something I kind of want to go over since we have a bit of time there. It's like, if you feel like you're not going to win against a Bahamut, there's not really probably a top deck in his deck that will keep him alive from a Bahamut and then another big drop that's coming down if it doesn't kill him next turn anyway. You probably just scoop, right? Because you want to conceal that information. Mostly if you know your deck's not really, it's an unorthodox deck. Like, your opponent's not going to know it. Like, he probably had no idea that there would be a Rose Queen in there, but now, going into the next match, he knows the next time that he fights that Force, I can play around Rose Queen. I play around Okami. I play around, Well of Destiny and all those crazy cards that otherwise he wouldn't have shown if he just scooped there in the last turn.
I think to tag along with that idea, because I do agree with you, one of the very big points you have to make on that kind of idea is that if you're thinking, well, do I have a top deck that beats Bahamut? You can also realize he's at 16 there, and he knows he has an Ouroboros, so he's actually dead on board in that position. So it's it's even more imperative to conceal that information because we know we're not making it through that next round. The Rose Queen does not help us remove the 13-13. Not enough thorns for that.
Yeah, there was no way for him to win, actually. Yeah, he knew that he was dead next turn, so he should have, like, in those positions, and I know, like, this is the good thing about tournaments like this, is that it's a good learning experience, mostly for new players. When you're in a position where you know you lose next turn, and you're playing cards, like tech cards specifically, like I remember back before the nerfs, Wrath Drake was an uncommon card compared to what it is now, and it was like a tech card. Instead of playing it when you knew that you were dead next turn, just scoop or just not play it at all and see if your opponent reveals any information to see if they're running tech cards, and then you can assume their next deck is also going to run a couple of tech cards that may help in certain matchups, and you can kind of guess how they made their decks. So information is very, very important in these type of tournaments, even in Conquest, where, you know, just even if you get to see just a tiny bit of tech, you can kind of assume that they're probably bringing that type of tech across the board in any deck where it could fit. So information is very important there, and I'm actually just maybe Mockingjay. We saw that, you know, with a deck like that, I'm not sure if he knows too much about that, like if he knows too much about the that idea of like concealing information, but or maybe he just wants to have a bit of fun, which is fine too if that's the case.
I mean, if I have a Rose Queen in my hand, I'm probably playing it. Rose Queen's like, that's the kind of card you put on the table. You gotta show it. You gotta put your memes on the table. But the as far as concealing additional information goes, especially with certain decks, like, and especially with formats that are a little bit different, with concealed lists, you can get some pretty sweet tech plays out from your deck where your opponent thinks, I'll make this decision so that I have this sort of information, and you just put a front guard general in play, and they can't ever beat that, because, well, didn't see that one coming. And with those kinds of cards, you tend to get really big swingy plays that help you win sometimes the entire set.
Definitely. So do you think his sword's going to be mid-range, or like what are you hoping it's going to be? Because he brought, you know, seeing the force deck, if he decides to bring the sword, or if the force beats the blood and then he gets to play the sword, what do you think it is, like, or hope it is? Do you think it's Frog?
I do like I've been testing Aggro Sword myself. I do actually like that deck quite a bit. It's a ton of fun to play, and we've already seen a Well of Destiny in this match, so I wouldn't be totally surprised to see another one popping up a Frog. But
maybe that's just a spirit card.
Yeah, I mean, the Vagabond Frog does good work if you can get him to, you know, actually start lifting some weights, because as a little guy, he doesn't do as much, but he's pretty tough to remove. And as Blood, do they even have any way to get rid of him?
Yeah. I don't think there's a way for Blood to get rid of him. Unless they're running Revelation.
They have Demonic Storm, I guess.
Yeah, Demonic Storm works. Is there Grimner if they run it in their Vengeance? Well, I know some lists run it. You can't use Hungering Horde, because even if they play another Frog, they're both Infinite Ambush. So I don't think Vengeance Blood has any real easy ways to get rid of Frog. So if he is playing
anyone
Frog,
can beat a Frog on turn 10 anyway, so I don't even think I'm going to count Grimner.
That's true. Well, no, Dragon can get to it if they just hardcore ramp,
that's
and they
true.
have like
Dragon can get there.
Yeah, they can survive, and then they slam down Bahamut, and then you're just like, well, I got Frog 2 and 3, and then they're like, I got Bahamut 2, I got no more Frogs. Concede. So we're not gonna get to see more of this Forest deck because his opponent's having some issues and just gonna forfeit the match. Poor Mockingjay, but congrats to Mingles. He played very nicely. So actually, we're gonna take a quick look at the bracket, if you want to pull that up on the stream. But right now, what we got going on is Artemis is just waiting for the match between Grimner and Razorak, two really good players. So, and Grimner just won. So Grimner is going to show that he is the Mad Cyclone, and now he's gonna have to face Artemis. Sinon is gonna have to wait for them. He won his match. And then there's Vakera, who's going to be fighting Shadow Nexus Frosty. So both the Shadow Nexus players in this tournament have moved on. Well, 2 of the 3 have moved on. SC is now versus Mingles, who we just saw Mingles win against Mockingjay. We got Sausage Fire, awesome name by the way, awesome name, Sausage Fire, who won 2-0 against Shadowx's Lux, who's actually a pretty good player. Like, not pretty good, he is a good player. And then Kiddo, who's actually down a game against, sorry, I'm about to butcher this name, Surnoi Yuffie. I cannot pronounce that name.
Surnoi Yuffie?
You know what?
Yufu.
You know what? Let's just call him Yufu. We're just calling him Yufu.
We can call him Cerno. We're certain about that part.
Cerno Yuffie. We get it. It's just a butcher name. It's a trap. It's a trap.
It's a trap. We've been butchered.
Okay.
I'm gonna actually make a comment on Sausage Fire's name. Sausage Fire does not sound like fun. I would rather eat my sausages, not light them on fire. But you do you, man. I mean, you're winning, so keep it up.
Yeah. So let's see if Kiddo can come back there, and hopefully we can jump into another game soon. But that was really interesting, and we saw there, like I said, the dragon in both players' lineups. Probably going to be played in most people's lineups, just because it's so like versatile. It can deal with everything, and the meta slowed down enough to where the only thing that can beat it is slower decks, like that we saw Seraph, and we also saw, what was it? There was another one. Nepthys. I talked about it before. How did I forget this already? But yeah. For the most part. Go ahead.
I'm really interested in seeing if the format starts to like grind to a halt. I'm like less interested in any more of my heads being taken, but I'm pretty happy to see more decks that tend to play on a little bit more of the controlling side, and with Dragon kind of shaken up from where it was, maybe we'll start seeing more Haven and Control Blood and my True Baby Control Sword. We'll just start to put the format back in a bit of a slower pace.
I'm still surprised that we haven't seen any Wolf Bolts, because Wolf Bolt's pretty decent against Nepthys. It's good against Dragon because you do have a lot of time, and it's also pretty good against like just Haven in general, because you don't have to go for the Bolt. That's just more for like when you're playing against hard control like Nep and Dragon, the really grindy matches. But you can still go for just the pure Roach combo. So I'm actually really surprised we haven't seen any Wolf Bolt. Maybe there's one that's lurking around, or maybe it's just getting unlucky pulling the unfortunate matchups where it struggles, like the pure aggro players. So maybe that's where it's happening. But yeah, they have a lot of tools, mostly with Elf Queen now. They have a lot of flexibility and a lot of ways to just reset the match to get in their favor, you know? So I'm surprised we haven't seen that.
I think that the Wolf Bolt list currently is just not as played because, like you said, the aggro decks tends to beat up on it a little bit. And I think that if you're worried about losing to the aggro lists, it's a little bit more consistent to play the Jungle Warden variant, because your Wolf Bolt cannot have Ward on turn 5, but if you're trying to kill them with the Monkey, sometimes you can play it out as a desperation play and try and get your way all the way up to, like you mentioned, some of your bigger heals like Aaron and Elf Queen. Keeping you in the game might make a difference. The Bolt lists, however, are going to be better if the metagame starts to slow down, so I'd really like to see that back in the meta.
Yeah, and there's also, like I said, we already talked about the Dragon, and Dragon has already like started to look at the meta and say, hey, we're actually really number one, so we need to tech for the mirror matches, and that's why they're running like Polymorphic Roar, polymorphic or morphic. I don't care the pronunciation. You guys know what I'm talking about, Roar. So there's that card. And then we're seeing stuff, like I said. So I think Wolf Bolt could come back. And I actually hope that tomorrow at the C/OC that we see a bit of that. And all those decks. Because we saw that, Dragon is just the most consistent deck. And then there's Aegis that are also being played. And even in JCG, both the tournament winners for JCG last weekend was Dragon and Haven. Both of them won with Dragon and Haven. So it's clearly a slower meta with those control type decks winning. So it's only a matter of time before someone just decides to play a counter lineup. But then obviously the scary part about the counter lineup is if they fight someone like Fatina, who's just going to bring D-Shift and any combo deck they can find necessary.
I think that that's an important part of the Shadowverse competitive scene, though. You can really work on your lineup and go, I want to play all 3 combo decks today, and if I have some bad matchups, I have some bad matchups. But like, with the amount of variants that you have available to you, the game does a really good job of letting you round off your lineups very nicely. You can kind of tech to be a little bit mid-rangey, maybe extend into the control game and beat up on some of the aggro decks. You can play combo and make sure that you're beating the control decks, but Blood Wolf seems a little bit scary then. So it really rewards players for really thinking about their 3-deck 1-ban lineups and having a focused, targeted ban in place, and then working your way through the tournament because you've got a good grasp of the meta. So when people start to shift towards Haven, I think that the format will probably slow down, and when it starts to slow down, well, the floor is open to people to start making more innovations on their lineups.
Yeah. So anyway, we do know what our next match, it's going to be the man himself, Sausage Fire, the coolest name out there, and Simo Yuffie, or whatever, the butcher name that we will never be able to pronounce, and we are so sorry for that. Please forgive us and teach us.
The butcher versus the sausage.
Yeah. Hopefully Sausage can escape from being butchered, but it is going to be Haven Shadow Blood for Sausage Fire, and then for the man Simo, who is Shadow Dragon Haven. So there's actually no dragon on Sausage Fire's side, so no Forte waifus, sadly, but we got Haven, so maybe that's Aegis, we got Shadow, and this is a very interesting lineup because it could just be, Aegis, Haven, mid-range, Shadow, Vengeance Blood, or it could be some weird combination of things. So I'm actually pretty interested in seeing what happens there and seeing what those lists are. And then obviously just the Shadow Dragon Haven from Simo. And we actually we saw it was the last C/OC winner, who's actually one of our teammates, Skysama. He brought that lineup. He brought Shadow Dragon Haven. And also that was the same lineup, even though it was Nephthys and Seraph that won, and it was the same lineup from NA/EU with Dino T from EXG. So clearly, this is a lineup that has success in this 3-deck format. So I feel like Simo, at least when you're looking at it from the history of things, this is a lineup that has survived the nerfs. It's been good before the nerfs, after the nerfs, and most likely still good. So my opinion is Simo has a pretty strong lineup, so I'm interested to see how that fares against Sausage.
I think that as far as lineup advantages go, taking a sort of direct approach towards the format with those kinds of strategies and making sure that you have a mid-range deck that you can kind of tech against. Shadow sometimes pulls a ban too, and then you have a little bit more of a controlling second half to your lineup, gives you some play there. You can a little bit sort of bank on some players banning certain decks because of their lineup makeup, and so those lineups always appeal to me, especially because you have a little bit of flexibility in that location. I think that because of the pairing that we have here, it probably will look to be pretty consistent, and I imagine that's going to help out quite a bit.
Now, the question I want to ask you is, since Simo here is looking at Fire's lineup, Haven, Shadow, Blood, what would you ban? Do you still ban the Shadow, even though you have Dragon, which we've actually seen the reason why Dragon's really good now still is because they still beat the quote-unquote strong mid-range Shadow because they're able to consistently ramp up. They can deal with the board. There's no Prince of Catacombs that just locks them out of the game. Well, there still is that possibility, but it's a lot weaker and slower, and you can answer it before it happens and make it impossible. And then Haven, which already was able to beat consistently the mid-range Shadow at its strong point. But now that it's all been nerfed, do you think you even bother caring about the Shadow with this type of lineup? Or do you ban something like the Blood, which can cause 2 of your decks an issue? What would you ban there?
I think I'm going to wind up banning Blood in that situation. Because you have so much room to play versus the Shadow deck, like you said, with both of those matchups, it's likely that you're going to have one of your decks, unbanned in order to make that matchup happen. And if you have enough confidence versus the Shadow deck, then I think it's probably correct to ban Blood because sometimes your opponent just battlefields into air jammer, and then you're in really rough shape if you don't have a clear with some of those decks. So I think it's a little better.
We are right. He did ban the blood. I agree with that. And then the shadow not getting banned for SEMO. Instead, it's the dragon, which I kind of agree with in a sense. But because it does give, Haven can have some issues with dragon. It's like a 50-50 matchup. It really comes down to, does the dragon get ramp or brick? And if it doesn't, it can win pretty easily with just spamming storms with Zeus and Genesis, and if they run Forte, stuff like that. But so interesting there. I like the bans from both sides. So we're actually gonna get to see Shadow played. So actually from both sides. So that's gonna be really cool. Haven and Shadow against Shadow and Haven. Yeah, it's a mirror match.
An interesting portion of the mirror match as well depends on what kind of Shadow decks are they playing. We talk about, well, the mid-range Shadow deck is going to get beat up by these control decks, so maybe we don't even ban it. But if it's not, that poses a little bit of a bigger problem for some of those lists. Not all of your cards wind up interacting as nicely. It's a little bit of a closer matchup, so we could wind up seeing an aggro Shadow deck versus an Ep Shadow deck, or some sort of other variants like that. And so I think that because the deck lists are hidden in the format, that leaves us a little bit more play to get surprised on what kind of choices that we've made.
Yeah. Now the thing I'm interested in noting is I'm gonna guess, considering the fact that he bans the dragon away, I feel like it's most likely not a Nep deck for Sausage, because if that was the case, he probably would have banned the Haven off or the Shadow, knowing that, hey, I can just beat his dragon with my Nep deck. So I'm gonna guess that that's kind of the thing there. So I'm gonna guess that for Sausage's side, it's just gonna be a basic version. It's gonna be either just the basic mid-range Shadow that has been updated with the nerfs, or it could be that the Ledger list that we've been seeing, where they run, it's pretty much just mid-range Shadow, except that they cut stuff like Prince of Catacombs, Squashers, and all that, and they run Neutral Craft package, and then they run the Ledger package with it to pull Attentive Knights and that, and then they still run Ektar and all of that, or they could just be a aggro Shadow. So I feel like it's either one of those two. I don't think it's going to be Nep for Sausage Fire, but for SEMO, maybe that's why he bans Blood, because maybe it really messes him up on all of those decks. Maybe every deck does not want to fight Blood. And it could be that he's hoping, I can deal with his Shadow, or I can deal with his Haven and just hope my Mordecai doesn't get banished and just snowball you out of the game as soon as I play Nep.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It makes a lot of sense. If all three of his decks are controlling, then he would want to make sure that the Blood deck isn't going to steamroll him in one of his games. Just accidentally pick up a loss because he gets a little bit too aggressively attacked in the early game. I think that I am wondering though, do you think that the Ledger deck has a better matchup versus, if we're trying to assume what Shadow deck he's playing, does the Ledger deck have a better matchup, do you think, versus Dragon or versus Haven?
I feel versus Haven, Shadow just right now does not want to fight Haven, period. I don't think any list, even the Ledger list, nothing, I don't think anything is strong against Haven, but I feel the Ledger's list is probably the best against Haven, just aiming for the mid-range version of the Ledger list, not the one that's put into, the one that we saw, the Nep lists that we saw from Dino T, which is 3-4, no 2-drops, and they just pull out the Liches. I feel in just the pure mid-range Ledger list, which still runs stuff like some run Goblins, some don't, and then they just have 2-drop, 3-drop, Ledger. Ledger pulls out only Liches from there on out. In that list, that's probably the best one against Haven if there is a good list against it, because sometimes you'll get lucky and Haven won't have a way to deal with all of those Liches that come out. And mostly if you have Ledger into Ledger and you're pulling 2 Liches a turn, then things become a real annoyance, because those Ledgers also pick up enough Shadows, because they actually end up picking up 5 altogether, because you have the 2 from the Liches and you have 2 that you automatically get from killing off your Attentive Knights and Unleashers, and then the 1 from when the amulet dies itself. So you're guaranteed at least 3 right away by the time it dies, and it dies on turn 6 for you. And then also if they kill the 2 Liches, that's 5. So all you need to do is play one card beforehand to get off your Death's Breath, and that's 3 health, which is annoying for like Dark John, so they have to have Themis. So that's the only list that I feel is strong, and we're actually going to actually see what type of shadow list this top one is. I think it's just going to be basic mid-range.
I'm excited. There's the Dark John there. The Beast Call Aria is a very important card in this matchup because it allows you to pull back a bit of a tempo swing. We are still in the dark on our shadow player though, so as far as we know, he could be going turn 1 Go Boom. We will see what we have in store here, but I do like the Arias in the matchup. It should help quite a bit.
I don't know about keeping both Arias though. I feel like you should have sent one back to try to look for like a scripture or something.
Try and pop it a little earlier. I can respect that. We're going to draw a Sacred Plea anyways though.
That's really good. And also, personally, I think you want to play, like, if he plays it depends on what he plays on turn 2. If he doesn't play anything, you definitely play the Hound. But I feel like the Hound's a bit stronger. Like, Hound in Scripture, being able to remove a 2-drop is a bit stronger than playing Arya, in my opinion, when you're fighting this matchup.
Yeah, we don't have an enabler yet for the Arya, so it'll help us in the mid-game, but if our opponent is as aggressive as we can imagine, that he could be, that might make it a little bit too slow, but only time will tell whether or not these Luriels will be able to overtake our currently non-existent Tigers. The cards will definitely help though.
This is looking pretty tough right now for the Havencraft. Like, they're starting to get out-tempoed here. No Ledger. Oh, he played Unica, so this is probably the Ledger list version I talked about. Because they run mostly only neutrals for their 2-drops.
And no follow-up 2-drop.
Yeah. Ooh, this is still tough, because you can't even play the Frog and get off the Heavenly Hound because the Enhance is always triggered. So he's going to have to use his Frog to kill off a probably kill off the Unica, may as well. Because either way, he's getting off a Lyrial Ping. And you can just kill both.
What are you hiding inside?
Catacombs! Oh, that's gonna be tough. That's such a strong thing. Catacombs now, getting off on 2 minions has always just been good, so seeing that happen is just really strong. Now you just evo Delirial, right? And just go 5 to face.
I agree with that. Even with the additional, even without this additional 2-drop on 4, we have a very commanding board state from the Shadow player. We'll see if the swing back from the Amulet popping will help, but for now, the cards are even and the board states are not.
Yeah. There's no way for him to fully clear this board either way unless he gets the Cudgel, which he didn't, so... Yeah, just gonna have to go for the Tiger here and use the Hound to fight back for board. Looks pretty strong, yeah. I like it. Just clear off. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Either way, you kill a Skeleton. Leaving up Delirial. Is he gonna use...
We're gonna be
Tribunal. Interesting. Well, I mean, I guess it's fine because you get all your play points this turn. And the next turn you have Hound and Tribunal, and you do get the pop from the other Arya, so you can still trigger the Hound through an Evo on one of those minions. So I guess that's fine. That's more play point efficient actually. So yeah, that was the better play.
I wonder if he's going to clear the Tiger here, as we will be replacing it on the following turn. If he clears, we get both minions from the Amulet. But currently, well, it looks like he's probably going to have to trade.
Yeah.
So we will get a replacement from that, but prior to that, we were only going to get one of the two.
Just gonna use the Coco, okay? The harder one to use. Very nice. So
I agree with that.
We're also starting to walk into Ektar turns. So does he still just go for the Hound play, or do you just like Grimner? Do you just Evo the Tiger just cuz? Like, you can't answer the... I don't know about Evoing the Grimner. I guess it does play around Ektar's zombies, but it's a bit harder to deal. I don't think there's any way to deal with this Tiger if he went with the Evo on the Tiger. Like, the Tiger would have stuck no matter what, unless there's a Squasher.
Squasher's going to get in the way of that, but Squasher gets in the way either way, and it is the Ektar coming down.
And this is fine. He has the Tribunal in hand that can deal with the Ektar, because he has to trade all the zombies to clear off the 2 wards. So
it's actually looking like we might have a pretty stable recovery currently, with the card draw and the Tribunal holding him back for a little bit on the following turn. The board will get pretty clear up here though. But
Ow!
he's gonna be able to push for some face damage, maybe start to develop a little bit more of a healthy position.
Yeah, he's going to have to float 3 play point orbs. Doesn't really matter too much here, though. He's going to get 3 draws and kill a minion next turn, which is nice. And he also gets to push another 4 damage. Can't even play just Ektar here if you want. Like, he can't. Because the Ektar dies, and you kill the Tiger, and that's it. You pretty much give him a free turn to pull down something like a Curate, which is just game. At that point, you're just not going to be able to deal enough damage. So this position for Haven is looking pretty good now. He was able to get through that tough early game through nice efficiency and some good top decks. But yeah, so he's going to he's going to go with the worst play. So this Havencraft player must be feeling pretty good here. Oh yeah, he used the Mimi to get that
because he uses the dog first. He's going to be able to try and roll 50-50.
He gets it!
Nice shot.
What should I do?
Oh, that's so tough. Now you just play the Curate. There's no reason not to play the Curate. It's healing you 3 effectively.
The safest play is Curate, yeah. The Shadow player throwing out the what should I do now after losing the 50-50.
You could just Dark John if you wanted to, but I'd rather save the Dark John for a stronger board. Like, Curate right now is the best. It's the safest time to play this Curate.
It's also the hardest minion for the Shadow player to remove. If he has another Ektar, if he's got all 3, he's going to need to be able to generate 3 Shadows to get enough.
He just trades in the zombie, and then he goes for the Ektar, and that can get him the other zombie to clear it off. But if he uses that, then he just used all 3 Ektars. There's nothing else he can really do. So yeah, gonna go with the Curate play. That's the safest. Nothing kills him this turn, and it also gets down the heal that he's been needing for a while. It's effectively still a 3 health heal, even if this zombie just goes for face. So
I think with that, he's put in a pretty stable position with the Tribunal also threatening his board on the following turn. The Jean threatening the board on this turn. We're going to possibly start looking towards turning the corner of reality this year.
Catacombs is probably the only card that can really... Yeah, okay. It's the only real card that actually threatens him. Mostly there's another Ektar. So this is quite awkward. How do you maximize the chances of you not dying? That is the question at hand. You're definitely banishing something this turn. So what is it? Are you banishing the... Well, you're definitely banishing the zombie. Do you trade, or are you going for face?
You actually definitely banish the zombie? I might actually banish the draw. You're going to likely clear one of them anyhow. I might try and deny the draw effect. Try and not hit the 3rd Ektar.
That was interesting not banishing it, because now he had to effectively miss it. Wouldn't there only be 1 skeleton? No, it's always 2. But banishing the draw. Yeah, banishing the draw would have been better.
Preventing the draw keeps him from possibly getting Ektar'd for a 3rd time, but...
Now if he has Cerberus and Phantom Howl, he can set up lethal.
Ooh.
Yeah, so, and he has the zombie party, that's gonna be annoying. Means that that's another turn that he can't play the Aegis, and that means that it gives him the Shadow another turn to draw in 2 ways to, like, they can draw into Cerberus, and they can also draw into, like, Phantom Howl, which is also a way to get lethal. So,
and we're kind of priced into this turn here. The Shadow player has a little bit too much board pressure there, so we're going to wind up needing clear. We did have a good play there. Oh, we did have the Ektar, see? There it is. This Ted cannot be taken. But we're out of heads to take, so I suppose that'll be alright. We're going to get the full board.
Unbelievable.
But the additional Phoenix in hand is going to be able to help out here.
yeah.
I'm sure he's happy he finished, though.
He's had all 3 Ektars, though. This is exactly why Haven is, like, even before the nerfs, it was the only deck that was able to actually consistently compete with him. Okay, you definitely Themis here because you want to save the Grimnir for the, like, Death's Breath that he could follow up with or something like. This is the only board where Grimnir doesn't completely deal with it. And it's the last Ektar as well, so yeah.
I like not playing it on 3 there. We get so much value from having it on 10, and it gives him targets for things like Zombie Party. Just avoiding that means he's probably going to have to go wide, and when he does, Grimnir shall show the way.
Or Dark John. I feel like this is a better turn. Actually, Grimnir, start going for lethal.
With a nice series of cards in hand and a ward in play, this is looking like it's pretty rough for the Shadow player, without an Ektar to draw as well.
Another Zombie Party, that's fine, we don't care about that. Just go for another Grimnir here, and then this way you can Dark John for lethal next turn. Yeah.
Grimnir rerouting to the party, I assume. Could potentially play the Dark John as well.
Yeah, you can just go for the Dark John here, and then Prism Priestess.
John Prism.
Yeah. This way...
With 2 Tribules good, are we going to wind up getting a test of strength here?
Yeah. This is actually better, because like Dark John, Dark John here and Prism Priestess is better, because if he has like Death's Breath, Dark John can't deal with Death's Breath, Grimnir does, so... Yeah. Too late for that Cerberus, even if he has like a Phantom Howl in hand. If he does, I want to see it. No, he had, okay, it was Soul Squasher, but no, that's it. That's the game. Grimnir's gonna pick it up.
Yep. A close one though. Several of those turns look very close. Our Haven player, however, does manage to hold it down long enough to get to an additional Grimnir.
Yeah. So, Haven picking it up. This was probably its best matchup. So, without having to deal with the mirror, so... that would have been very frustrating in the mirror.
I'm not sure if you're aware yet, but it is impossible to remove a Aegis from your hand or the board. So the Aegis is still completely invulnerable while in the hand for the entire duration of the game.
I'm pretty sure you can still discard it.
I mean, your opponent can't make you discard it. Is there a way that you can discard the Aegis in Haven, or is it just stuck there forever?
No, I mean, maybe one day they'll add that, and then we can be like Yu-Gi-Oh, where you just, loop people's hands. But that's a different story. We're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna see a reverse happen here. Now we're gonna see the Shadow against Haven from the opposite end. So let's see, and we are watching from Sausage's perspective, if you guys did not know. So let's see if Sausage can pull off this win here. Haven going first, however, I mean, I feel like beforehand you wanted to go first as Haven, but now I feel like the extra evolution point is a bit stronger. And he's Guardian Sun! It's G-Sun. We haven't seen that since like the last expansion.
Man, that card is like criminally underplayed. It's so good.
I mean,
some of your sweet value cards even more sweet value, and if you're not addicted to value add, you're just doing it wrong. Bonkmare coming out here, we could be a little bit more of a grindy list, but we also have the Dark Conjurer. Ooh, and the Black Inscripture makes that turn quite nice.
Yeah. And this is a bit awkward now because, I mean, do you Lyrial ping, save the 2 health on your guy? Okay. Because we had that option. I don't think that you really care because there's Radiance Angel that could still be a card. So, you play the Soul Squasher, yeah, 100%. Because there's no way you're ever getting 4 Shadows next turn to pop whatever he has. And it's Sonya. So here's the thing of why I like Guardian Sun's kind of bad. Like, he's playing Sonya and Guardian Sun, but it already has Ward. So, that's like why some people go for
games where it won't get Ward though. It's quite nice. Yeah. Sonya itself, by the way, is quite a very powerful play.
Yeah, but it walks right into Cerberus on curve, so not really the best in this situation, but it can be very powerful against stuff like Dragon.
Yep. And I imagine it's probably Thanos or Blast here. Ooh, no, that'll do the job as well.
Ooh, that's very nice.
This is actually quite a nice play.
Yeah, it's going to be able to remove both the Cerberus and the Lyrial on board, and leave a nice 4-1 body, and develops the amulet, so I like it. He can just going a bit greedy. I actually like that play a lot because this means that Mimi isn't an option anymore. But he is gonna get because of the second Cerberus here. You can just go Cerberus, Evo, go over the Cudgel, and then Coco, Lyrial for 6.
Time to go a little wild.
So I liked that play. I still think it's the right play actually, because you know that there's a Mimi in hand, so you could allow him to. Because in that case, he could have just gone Mimi to get over the cudgel, and if he had like a 2 or 3 drop, which he does, he has the priest. He could have done that. He could have gotten rid of both the cards that Cerberus gave him and develop a minion, as well as push 6 damage. So I still like that play. That was, I think, the best play.
Battle begins.
Yeah. It worked out that we had a pretty good clue on the shadow side sausage head, but here we got still 5 play points left to see. Ooh, Tribunal. That'll help out quite nicely.
But there's still a chance for if he runs the Phantom Howl. Okay, gonna do this and then go for the Death's Breath. That's respectable. So now it's a Themis or bust.
And it seems like based on how we played some of our other turns, we're gonna need to have drawn it. Ooh.
Nah, that's still game, I believe, right? Is there any way?
In the Coco, it should be. Yes.
No, wait. Is there any way to get lethal here? I don't think there is, because you would have to give up one.
Oh, we don't have enough shadows to get a zombie.
Yeah. So it's not game yet, but he can make this board super sticky with the catacombs here, and he can still deal with this 5/5 ward. The issue though is that next turn there's the tiger coming out, and that's going to get a ward for free as well. But it's not too big of a deal, because by then you should have the shadows to deal with it with Ektar. So let's see how he sets up this board for lethal. He'll probably, hopefully he's a faster thinker than I am, but there probably is a way here with like Lyrial and Prince of Catacombs. Then you trade, use a Coco now.
Yes,
trade
it's his
zombie.
turn.
Yeah, it's pretty weird here. Going for the Ektar? Okay, I can respect that. Is he just okay? He's going to use that zombie and push 8 here. I guess that's fine, because now he has to say, you got to heal in the next 2 turns, or I just play Grimner and win.
We also have the Mimi in hand as well. We could possibly have Angel of the Word in the list, so another curate holding the fort down. That Guardian Sun, man, it's keeping us in this game.
As the Blackened Scripture. So another Ektar should be good enough. Orthrus, is there any way that kills him? If the Orthrus lands on the Tiger, he can pop it with Mimi, then he can trade into Ektar into the 5/5. If it lands on the zombie, that's 6. No, that's not lethal.
No, I don't think there's a way for him to garner a lethal board here, and if there is, it involves Orthrus hitting exactly both the correct targets plus everything.
Well, you mean
else
there's
going really
2
well.
good targets. Okay, he does land on the Tiger, which is the best target. Though it hits the Ektar, however, which is unfortunate, because that is the worst target. You want it to land on the zombie. So you just Mimi the Tiger here, right? And then you trade into the... and then you just trade Ektar into the 5/5, and then you push 2. Means that if anything... You only need 2...
I might actually clear the bird. If you clear the bird with the zombie, instead of pushing 2, you wind up with the Ektar still threatening lethal on the following turn.
He has to have a ward or a heal that also is a ward, like Radiance.
I guess you're not going to wind up with the Ektar either way.
Yeah, but I mean, you just need 2 damage to be pushing to face if he doesn't have a heal, and then you can just win with Grimner, so...
Yeah, all these skeletons.
So does he needs a ward. That's not... Oh, actually that is it, I believe. Yeah, yeah, because that's not damaged by Grimner. So this is probably going to be a Death's Breath turn. Wait, does he not? That doesn't get damaged, I believe, by the Grimner. If I remember right. Yeah. Okay, good. I thought he was going to do that and then Grimner and think that it works. I was like, please don't. So yeah. So now Themis is also fine. There's the Radiance Angel.
Into Radiance Angel. We can just keep going. More wards.
That would just... I think that's just game because that's fine too. Wow. Yep, that's fine. Do the trade. So he can... No, he's 1 off lethal. unless there's a way. Okay, so if he trades skeleton, that's 6. That's 4. Now he's sworn off lethal no matter what he does here. Because even if he can push. I feel like you have to go skeleton into 4-1, skeleton into tiger, and then you use the Ektar here, and that gets you 2 zombies. You kill both of those wards, and you push 8, sets up for Grimnir lethal, unless there's a curate. But if he curates, he dies because you can trade through it. So he can set up lethal no matter what happens next turn. This is checkmate.
Man, that Guardian Son doing work, trying to hold the fort down.
It almost did it as well. If he had another Radiance Angel, then that would have been good enough.
It was a very powerful string of draws from our Radiance Angel there.
Yeah, but that's checkmate. There's no one card that can keep him alive this turn. Nothing keeps him alive.
Not even Bahamut. Feels bad, man.
So that's sadly it. That means the guy with the better name, however, of Sausage Fire.
The better name. That's objective. We don't get the reference for the other name.
Okay. Come on.
Could be.
Sausage Fire is a cool name.
Sausage Fire is a cool name.
And he'll be fighting Mingles. So Mingles, we saw him in the first match there. So that's pretty nice. Wow. Really nice play. So that means that we have
There's a sweet match.
Yeah. But we have Grimnir against Facera, and then Shadow Nexus Mingles versus Sausage Fire. So yeah. Pretty cool. And I liked Sausage Fire's play. So wait, we did watch from Sausage Fire's perspective, right? Pretty sure we did. Or was it Simo? It's kind of hard to tell.
With the exact mirror match, it's a difficult.
No, it was my fault. It was Simo's.
Simo's perspective.
Yeah. So Simo actually moves on. Dang it, Sausage Fire! I thought that was you.
How dare you hype him like this?
I just hoped. I just hoped that it was. No, I'm sorry. I lied. That was Simo. I ended up winning.
All right. So we have Grimnir and Vicaria and Mingles and Cyrano. I'm interested to see more Haven. The deck looks very good in this current position. I like it quite a bit, but we haven't seen any of the any more of the Sweet Blood decks I want.
Nice.
Also,
and we're gonna hopefully we get to see hopefully we get to see classes. Oh, we do. So we have Shadow and Dragon from Grimnir with his Blood Band, and then from Viscera we have his Dragon and Blood. So we are gonna get to see Blood this game, but his Shadow's Band for Viscera, yeah. And this is going to be the semifinals match. So let's see who's going to move on to the finals here. And yeah, so we actually have we seen Blood at all today?
We saw Blood once.
Did we?
Believe?
No, I don't think we did because of that.
We didn't. We were slated to see Blood, but there was a forfeit involved instead.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see if Osiris is going to bring out his Blood. Do you have any hopes for what we're going to see in this match?
I hope that someone is still playing Sword feels bad, man. I would like to see some Blood decks. I'm a fan of some of the aggressive strategies in this game because of how many different little niche plays you have to make to get things done. Sometimes you wind up pinging a guy twice in order to make sure you can push more damage. You have to, especially as the Blood deck, really utilize the Vengeance abilities by hurting yourself pretty hard. Who's not a fan of Soul Dealer, really? Competitive Soul Dealer? Would you have ever imagined that? Because...
I mean, to be fair, some of the Vengeance Bloodlists that have been walking around have cut Soul Dealer, and they run stuff like Bloodfed Fireblood and Craze Executioner. They get more of that early game pressure, as well as be able to trigger their Vengeance just naturally instead of using Belphegor, and they just don't run Soul Dealer because it's a bit dangerous the later the game goes. So and we saw that Grimnir had the Korean flag, and Korea and Japan are pretty similar in metagames. So, and I believe he's the one with Blood. No, his Blood's banned, so we won't get to see that, but we'll see. Maybe there's a chance.
So there's a chance.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna see the mid-range Shadow here, and Skullcrate Widow. That's a card that we saw before in the previous game, but it's and we also saw this in Sky Sama's build. what do you think about Skull Cradle Widow coming back into mid-range Shadow?
I see it quite a bit on ladder now. It does a fair amount of work, especially in the mirrors, because trying to draw your bigger cards like Death's Breath and Ektar is really important. Plus, a lot of the times you can get pretty good trades on some 1 health followers, so it's like, I think, pretty well positioned in the current meta. We have no 3s here though, so we're gonna have to pick which one we're gonna want to play. We're gonna try and get a little bit more aggressive. I like that line though.
Yeah, he just wants to get the bodies down because he has Prince of Catacombs, and just be a bit more aggressive with Delirial. Actually, no, I feel like he should have saved Delirial, because Delirial is a bit more valuable with the ping, right? Like, I would have rather see the Skull Cradle Widow. Like,
it depends on what we're trying to avoid here on 3.
I mean, there's Grimner, I guess, which is what he's trying to compete with.
Yeah, Grimner makes sense. Ooh, just pass.
This is a good Prince of Catacombs right now. I think it's the most value you're gonna get. I mean, he could also play Lyriel and Skull Cradle Widow if he wants to get a bit greedy. I think actually, because you didn't see any removal that turn either, that
I'm very
it's
interested
fine.
in that play.
He had no 2-drop. He didn't have any 3-drops, and he didn't play any Blazing Breaths. So with that being said, going greedy here I think is fine, in my opinion at least.
I think that he thinks so too. I think we're, from the Shadow's perspective, all in on the full steamroll. If you see your opponent as dragons start to slip up and you're trying to prevent them from getting to that late game position, just
I'm gonna guess that was a top deck.
start to jab bus.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hanging? So that means that he has another Lyriel in hand, in my opinion.
If you had another lure though, I think you would have played it.
Okay, I think you don't get any greedier here, and you just play Prince of Catacombs, because 3-minion Catacombs is pretty strong. And then you can also evo it into the
Bone
room.
Chimera Soul Squasher though.
Yeah, but you're getting really greedy, and we're getting up to turns where there's Wrath Drake, and that could also be setting up Wrath Drake there.
No, Wrath Drake would be pretty rude for us, yeah.
And I would like to save the Soul Squasher for her, because you are going to be able to trigger her ability. So
Yeah,
I'd like
try
to see the
the
Catacombs
activation.
here. And you
Yeah,
can even
definitely.
evo, you can even trigger, like you could also use the Skull Cradle Widow and the ping from Lyriel to deal with the to be able to push 2 extra damage and deal with this Lyriel. So I like the Catacombs play no matter what here. I'd like to see that personally, because I feel like the other play is just way too weak to Wrath Drake, which he did something that makes you think that he probably has it. Okay, he's gonna draw first.
Draw first.
He may just go for the Bone Chimera, Evo, Ping, and just go that way, and just hold on to the Squasher. I'd really like him to hold on to the Squasher here, no matter what, because he can still play it next turn with the Catacombs.
My wings are killing me. Finally a break.
Yeah, I think this is fine if he wants to do that.
What are you
No, he's gonna play
hiding
Catacomb? He should have played it first. I guess he was
I don't know.
digging into the options.
He's debating on the draw. I was going to bring up that it's possible, based on our opponent's like hand makeup, that it would be correct to try and draw first.
Yeah, but-
you lose out on a skeleton, but if you pick up something that's very, very powerful there, you're definitely going to want to put it on the board. So I think that that's reasonable.
There's the Skullbees that would have actually made that play really, really powerful.
All must
So,
come to an end.
That's funny. Okay, playing the Grimner, because then he could kill the Bone Chimera and make you lose a skeleton. I like it. Do you use your last evolution point here? Is there
I was just about to
any
ask.
merit
I
to it?
think that you probably do.
Okay, that's fine.
They agree.
I mean,
The list looks very aggressive. We haven't seen any sort of mid-rangey pieces yet.
Fighting is so
Really?
I mean, this is the mid-range list. You don't run Catacombs and aggro. Or Bone Chimera. Well, you do run Bone Chimera, but Skeletonite's better.
We don't run this catacomb. The other one we just played in Shadow. It was the auto.
The other one, yeah, in general.
This guy gets up late. 4? Nah.
So this is a bit off. So Cerberus, Phantom Howl, yep, Death's Breath, any of those, Ektar, all of those would have been good draws. So now he needs a good way to clear this board. Wrath Drake would be insane right now.
Patrick's looking real good.
Bluest water.
Sibyl's fine. Does he have removal? No. This is really risky because if there's an Ektar or a Cerberus, I believe, right? So that's 8. That's 2, 4, 6. Yeah, okay. So Cerberus and Ektar, all of those would have killed him. Taking a big risk there. I guess it's fine.
Last. I'm not sure if there was something he could have found there, but he played the Sybil before the draw on his ramp effect.
Gonna play the Chimera. I like the Chimera even though your board's filled, because if he clears the board somehow, then you can get the 2 skeletons, which also work with Ektar. So he's just keeping his options open for when he top decks it. And he also has the option to trade into it and get the skeleton bodies as rush. So now Ektar
carry him out of this hole.
Ektar actually doesn't answer this board either, funny enough, because there's no way to get lethal. I mean, it answers the board, but it doesn't get you lethal, so you're still weak to Bahamut after that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Was that a misplay? That was a misplay. He ordered that incorrectly.
What?
Just a tad.
Yeah.
I think he's realized that he could trade the other way. Let's see if it winds up punishing him. I think that it's going to be very difficult to beat through these Sibyls though. And a Zeus as well? Boy.
So Zeus gonna come down. I think that locks up the game. It's gonna be hard to deal with. I don't think there's a way to deal with this Zeus. And there's just way too much healing. He's healing 6 HP a turn. Is there any way that you can deal with this?
Well, the Zeus can fall this turn.
Okay,
But actually,
you can kill most of this board and just leave up before 1 Sybil.
All must come to an end.
Still,
knows that it heals it back. It heals him back up pretty heavily.
I'm leaving.
The zombie party's a good draw, but
he's gonna forfeit. I don't think there's any way he can gather enough damage to win at any point. Yeah, just too far behind. He needed to draw into like Cerberus, Ektar, or like Phantom Hal if he had it. Any of those would have been good because that would have allowed him to set up lethal.
The carrier gained, I believe, more than 15 life with Sybil in that game, which did help carry him through the Shadow matchup. So we'll see if Blood. I mean, with Blood, you usually tend to lose a ton of life. So we'll see how that interacts.
So now we're gonna see the Viseria playing his Bloodcraft against the Shadow from Grimner, and this is actually pretty interesting because he kept the Shadow Reaper, which I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I feel like in this matchup you should be looking for your Cerberuses 100% because Cerberus Phantom Hal is just the easiest way to just win the game. Once they round up the door.
That Skull Beast needs to be a little bit more timely on his draws. Both games drawing around turn 2 feels a little rough. It'll wind up curving pretty nicely on a following turn, but it still feels bad that we drew it on turn 2 each game.
Yeah, gets the Bone Chimera, that's nice, and the next turn he does have the Dark Conjure and Shadow Reaper to play, which is going to be pretty good, I'd say. I mean, if he gets a 1-drop, he can also just do another there. Okay, I think that's better because then you can save the Dark Conjure for the evolution ability. I like it.
And Double Revengeance arriving on board. Ooh, ops to
I like
trade.
that play as well. It just sets up, you can use the skeleton bodies next turn to start trading and make a bigger Shadow Reaper.
I want it.
Delta
Does
Glow
have
comes
the
in.
sniper here.
That's a bit risky, actually.
It's gonna be a 9. This is a pretty precarious situation for him. His board is very large, but
You're mean.
He must have some way to kill him next turn. Skull Cradle Widow. Okay, you're probably just fully trading here, and then gonna use the. I'd play Skull Cradle Widow here. Trade in a
he
skeleton.
has lethal, does he not? He has 6 plus the Evo on the Reaper plus the Dark Conjurer is 9.
Wait, Evo, that's 7, 8. Oh yeah, that is lethal. Okay, yeah, that is lethal, exactly.
It's pretty precarious, like we're gonna need to trade.
Yeah,
No, he did
I would
not.
have missed that. Unless he was sitting there counting as well. Okay, that's good. So that's exactly
Have to not trade in the skeletons and instead attack with them. Friendly to the skeletons, I suppose, but I would have
Well,
attacked in with them too.
you had to get rid of the two of the skeletons in order to have board space for that.
I meant the other two.
Oh wait, no,
I just want the Radiate Reaper. I want the big one.
Did it matter if he did
No,
that?
they were the exact same thing. I just
Oh yeah,
would
it's the
like
same
to have
thing.
an 8/8 Reaper on turn 5.
So he must have just looked at it and been like, oh wait, I have lethal.
Yeah. Figured it out about at the same time as I did.
Yeah.
A very volatile turn that he had there. Funnily enough, the blood-fed flower bed making that exactly lethal on his following turn.
So this is gonna be interesting.
The clears get a little rough on him.
Because now we're gonna see, I believe it's dragon versus blood, and this means that blood should be favored. So let's see if dragon, because dragon needs the nuts in order to be able to win this game normally, or blood to brick really hard. So going first is a really good start for dragon, and that is not the hand you want. Everything goes.
Ouch.
And that is okay. That's not too bad.
It's a lot better.
Needs Oracle or like Breath of the Salamander to deal with the 2-drop or something like that. That would be good. Oracle, still the best draw though. Need it. He's got 2 chances.
Another
for it.
5.
Yeah, Sybil's nice. He needs the nuts because you're not going to be able to sit around here and like just do what you want as dragon. You need to be able to answer everything as fast as possible. You need to get up to 10 mana and use Bahamut because even if they dance to death it's still a good way to answer air jammers and those big 4-body boards. Grimner at 10 play points with the enhance is pretty good. So he really needs to get up and ramp as fast as possible.
Step 1 was avoiding that major brick though. His opening hand had any cards he could play, which is about step 1, but developing sort of a very powerful curve is super important to make sure we can keep up with the mid game. And right now it looks like he's not actually doing too bad. Rahab just gonna hold this down for a little bit. We've got a lot of wards. We'll see if he has an enabler though from the Bloodcraft side to start to swing the tempo in his favor.
Yeah. Now the awkward thing is Belphegor comes down. He can clear this entire board and be pretty safe because he'll still have a 1/2 ward hiding behind him. Gonna trade off the Grimner. Now this is good in the sense if he doesn't have a way to fully deal with this board. But he does have the Belphegor, so he's just gonna get 1 extra damage in, which is may actually make the difference in the end, funny enough. So that trade, I don't know. It's like really depends. We'll see if that 1 damage really matters or not.
I think I'd probably have made that attack too. It just sort of
I don't think
a
it's
little bit of pressure on.
Yeah, I like the Sybil coming down here. I don't think that attack was wrong, but I don't think it's right either. It's like one of those things where it's like it comes down to personal opinion. Right?
It always feels bad. You want to get to really
Make the world blue.
Yeah.
get around it.
So let's see if he has Air Jammer.
Air Jammer would be really rough here, but as far as it stands, a clear on the Sybil or 6 face damage is really huge. Our Dragon player is going to wind up in a bit of trouble if he finds a way to clear the Sybil without losing the 6/4.
What was it? Dance of Death would have been better there, actually.
So Dance of Death there would be really scary.
Should I suffocate you?
Gonna Evo
Such
the
dry.
implants. Is he gonna trade into that? Yeah, you have to trade in the Sybil, because then it just heals, so. Sahakwo gonna come down here. You're gonna take 2 damage, but it's still right, because you're gonna kill both of these bodies. But the question is, do you care? Like, do you want to get off the Urius, which can be more problems, or do you want to just leave it? I think you still leave it and just go for the clear on the Implanter and Air Jammer.
I don't...
Fighting is so
It depends on how long you think you're going to have to deal with the Urius. If you think
I mean...
if he kills the Urius next turn with the Ouroboros, then it's better to kill the Air Jammer, because
Yeah.
it does the same amount of damage, but it's harder to deal with the Air Jammer on the
You have a
following turn.
6/3 still on board, so if you can't answer that while also evoing the Urius, then you should have a way to protect it.
6/3 is toast, my friend.
Okay.
There it goes.
such
Well, this is where Dragon loses. Not evoing the Urius, however. I feel like that's wrong, in my opinion. Actually, no, never mind. That is better because it plays around, what's the word? Breath of the Salamander.
Salamander, yeah. It spreads things out for Salamander, I like that above.
Yeah.
Now we're in a rough spot, though. And by rough, I mean probably dead.
I don't think there's a way for Dragon to get out of this one.
If he has any relatively light burn in his hand, I believe that'll be it, but...
6.
Man.
So, the only
That
play
was
here is
brutal.
Ouroboros the 4/3, right? No, and you just have to hope there's no damage. There's no other way, because Draconic Fervor and then Grimner means that you die. Oh, okay. Or you can just go for that and hope you don't die. You can Blazing Breath. Yeah, you're probably just dead now. Because now removal and damage in general. I feel like Ouroboros
We
is the
did
only
to 1 damage with the other player as well, though. We're kind of in a rough position,
now
and...
any damage kills him because removal counts as damage at this point.
Yes. And, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's game.
This Eurus, however, did wind up dealing more than the Arjona would have, because even if he passes the following turn, then we're at 1. There's no way for us to get out from under any sort of storm minions, so... Bloodcraft doing exactly what I was hoping to see, and being the powerful mid-range deck that causes the metagame to sort of shake up a little. I like it.
Definitely. So now we have our first finalist being that was Visera. Yeah, Viseria, who's going to move on 2-1 against Grimner. So Grimner going down, and he's going to fight for 3rd, 4th place. And then we got, hopefully we get to see Mingles versus Simo. So let's see what happens there. So we're going to have a Bloodcraft in the finals. Now, let me quickly check, because this is actually my first time casting this. If the finals is it a best of 5? Or is it no, it's still best of 3. Okay. That's fine.
Best of 3.
Means that we may not see it. But anyway, we are going to be jumping into SN Mingles against Simo. Not sure if we got to see the bands, but yeah. So let's see what happens. Dragon Mirror. Okay, guys. I'm gonna go grab my pillow. Glass, can you take this one over? Because I'm starting to fall asleep.
You're the dragon specialist, my friend. If this was a control sword mirror, I could talk all day about a 28-turn game where all sorts of big storm minions bump into each other. But
okay.
As for the dragon mirror, it is we'll strap up because this is gonna be a pretty long one. The Ode, however, tells maybe a story of our Rowan player having a bit of more of an aggressive curve, and there comes the Forte, so he might actually be looking to beat down.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. He does get the Alaya there, and also he could play Musashu. I think that's fine because it's Evo turn for his opponent. But that Forte Erd combo, that changes things up a lot, like a huge ton. Okay. Hitting in here is kind of awkward, though. I don't know if I don't like it. I never like hitting in, like, the only time you ever want to hit Alea dead is when your opponent's on 4 play points, because no matter what they do on 6, it doesn't make a difference compared to 5. So, I like that, just holding on there, making him take extra damage.
You've got all the secret dragon mirror text that I wouldn't have thought of. The Sibyls, though, doing it out.
The Sibyls don't really matter, but this is going to be a nice target for the Alea to kill into. And that does bump you up to 10 mana, to 10 play points next turn. I don't know about that. I think I would have preferred to trade an Alea there, get up to 10 play points, and then Ouroboros face personally. I don't think the bodies on the board matter that much.
I think that he's for sure the aggressor in the matchup, so I might have also wanted to get a couple of points then. But
yeah, he's gonna just kill. I mean, I guess the Alea is now sticking around and getting 1 extra damage than it
seems to be the same now.
Okay, just Ouroboros again. I like it. Now you go Alea to face. You still don't. Okay, yeah, you can Evo. I guess the Evo doesn't really matter anymore because you're gonna go aggressive here.
Pulls it out of range of some cards.
He has to clear this entire blue, which he does. Oh,
I've got to take
We talked about how this matchup was going to be a very long grind.
That's game.
What it
No,
looks
this is not going to be long at all because this is Storm Dragon. Picking up that second Forte just locks the game down. He can kill this Bahamut and set him down to lethal range. There's should be no way for him to stop lethal next turn with Erd and Forte.
A worthy opponent.
Rahab though actually does, but he doesn't have it, so that's game. Forte, Erd, quick pick up there.
That was a turn 9 lethal and the Dragon Mirror. Showing Storm Dragon, it's come with balls. We're talking about how grindy the format is, and Storm Dragon's like, nah, I'm gonna Forte you.
Well, I mean, I
2
understand
times in
it.
2 turns.
Like it's good it's good in the mirror, but it's a lot weaker against people who just upgraded and kind of accepted the nerf on Catacombs to mid-range Shadow. It's weaker against those decks because they'll struggle to clear the board and they just won't be able to get out their Fortes ever in that matchup, which is why we see in even the more defensive mirrors, the defensive list, that tech in Forte instead of Wrath Dragon so they can deal with the mirror matches a bit better. They struggle a tiny bit more, but it doesn't make too big of a difference. But Storm Dragon, they have a huge weakness against the deck that we're actually going to be watching now. So that's why most don't play it as often, but it's definitely really good in the mirror. So
Yeah.
now let's watch our... I just noticed this is another mirror.
Yes, indeed. The shadows are back out. And a 1-drop for the first time, I think, since we've been watching Shadow.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen a 1-drop on turn 1 from Shadow.
Sculby's decided to show up a little earlier to the party today.
Yeah. You know what I find funny though is Jaden Smith would be very proud of this round because he would be like, "How can this be real if our eyes aren't real?"
What? What
Have
is
you
that?
not seen that meme on Twitter? I love
I
it.
have, but what is that? We're opting to ping here. We're gonna remove all of the skeletons. Oh, and replace them with our own skeletons at some point later, I'm sure.
The bones embrace me.
So the bottom needs to just win one more game to advance to the finals here. So having the strong start is definitely what you want. And the next turn he has Bone Chimera and Dark Conjurer. So that's going to be a good way. And this actually, that Dark Conjurer is actually going to be really good here. It's going to be able to deal very cleanly with this Cerberus. And you can just, I mean, you don't really care about evoing Bone Chimera. It's just a, okay, play off curve, that's fine.
You might. Oh.
Yeah,
Wow, I
didn't
might have
Soul
actually, if I was going to develop the Orthrus, I might have even soul conversioned it, but.
Yeah, I don't know how I
hang on
feel
to
about
that for later as well. That's a good draw. I was gonna mention we're behind on the zombie war now, a little bit back on tempo, but that was a
I
really
actually
good
think
pickup.
that play was wrong. Like the before. I don't think I agree with that Orthrus play at all because even with that top deck into the Death's Breath, it still would have been better. You would have either way you would have had a way better board against this Death's Breath that you can't avoid.
Maybe he
So
was thinking that he's not going to find a better spot to play the Orthrus, but
I mean, you had a lot of ways to deal with it later. I mean, I guess it's fine now because you're gonna have like this insane like tempo with all these zombies coming down, and then you have Ektar in hand. So I guess it's fine, but still, like now that Bone Chimera and Dark Conjurer are just dead in his hand, like that Conjurer is gonna be dead as soon as this Evote zombie leaves the board. Like it just becomes a dead card that could have been used pretty, you know, the most effectively. And yeah, okay.
in comes Soul Squasher.
So this is going to be
the
a
large
pretty
card advantage from our bottom player, though. It's going to be a little difficult for the top shadow to grind back without some Ektars of his own.
Yeah. And you just go face with both these zombies, right? You don't trade.
Nope. Apply the most pressure that you can. You have a huge advantage on board. Cool. That's how you know you have a big advantage in this channel mirror, is that when you're the list that doesn't have Phantom Howl and you have the board advantage and the life total advantage as well. Gonna have to make some relatively trades I'm sure he's not happy about here.
Yeah. Not really the best way to use Phantom Howl, and it uses so much of your Necromancy. I don't know how I feel about it.
We have no choice. Feels bad.
Okay, just
all but locks up this.
yeah. He's just gonna fill up the board again, and then you can't really deal with this. Yeah, you can't. There's no way for him to really deal with this board. And Ektar's gonna come down next turn and just win him the game. I don't think there's any. Okay, actually, yeah, I forgot about Grimner. That's a card that exists. That's actually the only card that could have actually done anything for him this turn. So you need to trade and you need to trade to Scorpius. Yeah, totally forgot about Grimner. That card, like. Okay, yeah, I like it. Just play Ektar, you trade off the board, and then you just go face 3, set him down to 4, and mid-range Shadow doesn't have any healing, so this is locked up. It's gonna be a 2-0. Pretty nice.
It's still gonna be basically impossible for him to get out of this. I don't know if there's any 2-card combos he can have here. I'd like to see Deathly Tyrant and card that gives 14 shadows, which we don't have, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so it really doesn't matter what he does this turn. Death's Breath is the only card that, to his knowledge, keeps him in the game. But we know, seeing that Grimner in bottom player's hands, it's over. So I mean, we don't really need to see what happens there, sadly. But yeah, Grimner's going to end up taking that game, and that was whoever we were watching from the bottom, which I believe it was Mingles, it was Mingles who we were watching there, who won. Nice 2-0. So he would be fighting Viseria and in the finals, and then Grimner against Simo for that top, 3rd/4th place. So pretty nice and solid there.
Yeah, a nice performance. He showed a very good perspective on some of the mirrors, kind of made good trades, and in his Dragon Mirror for sure was heavily advantaged by his card choice. I think that teching your lists to kind of use your bands effectively and make your matchups a little bit in your favor is a really good strategy, and a lot of people forging their lineups now to make sure that they ban out a certain strategy and then mash through the other ones. So his Dragon Mirror, I'm sure, looks quite good all of the time. I mean, turn 9's not too shabby in the mirror.
And you know what's better in the mirror? Not that shapeshifter that Richie just pulled.
No?
So.
Just cracking packs, stratagem. This is a good card, I swear.
Yeah. I remember I lost to someone in a C/OC finals, in winter finals, because his control sword had 2 stratagems, and it just it gave him back.
Sword is secretly OP no matter what you play.
I was like, okay, well, can't survive that.
Thanos.
And Love's Gospel. Remember when
I'm
that
so
was
excited for this 1-year event. All these packs, all that gold.
Yeah, make sure if you guys haven't logged in that you can. Like, today is tickets, like 3 tickets if you've been keeping up to date. But yeah, you get up to, like, I believe it was 40 packs and 6 arena tickets that we get out of the entire event.
It's 40 packs and 6 tickets. And if you're not caught up, make sure you start logging in either today or tomorrow, because, ooh, Odin, nice.
You may get an Odin.
Well, because the event is 14 days long, you want to make sure you get started early enough to get all the prizes. Because who doesn't like all the prizes?
Yeah, it's really good, actually, for a lot of new players I know have come in from Hearthstone again. Because they...
It's like 100... You open 2 legendaries in 5 packs.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Yeah.
No. This is what's going to happen. He opens up all the legendaries now. So when we get to the new expansion, he's going to open it up and get 0 legendaries.
That's not
That's
nice.
how
That's
it is.
never true.
I opened an animated Ancient Elf out of one of my packs, so I can now play the fully tilting Ancient Elf, animated Ancient Elf, promo Ancient Elf.
That is very... That's like my Cerberus collection. I have alt art, I have a animated one, and I have a normal one. I do that.
You get all the ugliness. None of them matching. It's perfect. Can't be happier about it.
Exactly.
What do
See,
we have here?
he's gonna get something. It's gonna be another legend.
Far left. No, Radiant Shaman, why? Well,
And
that
that
was ugly.
is what we call a under average pack.
Shut up, you.
A penguin wizard.
Okay, yeah, he got the penguin wizard. That's pretty busted.
I
remember
opened my third animated owl cat the other day. I was so happy.
I
can
remember
now
during
meme
Darkness
with 3
Evolved.
owl cats and animated.
During Darkness Evolved, I had a goal that I wanted to be able to play. Just press the button. You're not Crip.
Remember the 2 legendaries I pulled? Yeah. Free vials.
Okay, he pressed the button. Okay, good. He's not like Crip. Phew.
Sometimes it's not correct to press the button. I had to not press the button the entire time before the nerfs because I thought they'd nerf Ektar and I had 4. I wanted to get my free choose your own legendary, but
I kept like
his head can't be taken.
catacombs, and then I got rewarded when the nerfs happened. So, pretty good. Same for like lightning blast. I had so many lightning blasts. I had a full playset animated and like a full playset normal. So I just disenchanted the normal ones and got like 600 dust.
Man, I don't have the diligence to do that. I like disenchant all my cards and then minus the Ektar, and then I like have all this dust. So I'm like, I'll just craft more Pascals. It'll be fine. I swear that card's good, and then it's not, and I cry. I cry many memes. Feels so bad.
Yes, we're gonna see the finals from Mingle's perspective again, and he'll be fighting Viseria. If you guys forget, Viseria was the one with the blood list, and I believe it was Mingles who had the Storm Dragon list that we just saw. And we know that Viseria's Shadows banned, meaning that we are gonna see the Blood and Dragon, and then Mingles has his Blood banned as well. Wow, we both had the same lineup, just opting for different bans. So we are watching from Mingle's perspective, like I said again, and yeah. So do you have any favorite here? Like I kind of want Viseria to win because he gets to play the blood. So
I do like blood, but that Storm Dragon list is like really sweet. So it's it's kind of a toss up for me. I'd like to see blood win and then Storm win, and then in the mirror, in the last one, I think it's a toss-up. I don't mean to not pick somebody, but I'm more of the more Shadowverse, the better kind of guy. Full 3. Best of 3s, please.
Too bad it's not a best of 5. I would have liked to see the blood from all sides. So yeah, let's see who's going to be taking home TCG eSports at number 20. Hopefully once Viseria is ready, just kind of deciding like what do you lead here? I mean, I feel like you lead blood if you're Viseria. Like, if Mingles, if you want to hope that Mingles shadows mid-range shadow is still like a good matchup for blood in most cases, as long as they don't have like Cerberus Phantom Howl waiting for you. And then Dragon, we all know blood has a great matchup against Dragon, as long as you don't prick. So, it'll be interesting to see.
I think I lead blood almost 100% of the time if I have it in my lineup. It's just so efficient against so many different decks. It's got some of the most powerful mid-game draws, and because you're so strong in the mid-game, you're kind of good against aggro and control, so I think that it's a pretty safe hedge here.
And Mingle's probably leading with Shadow, yeah. Just because it has the best matchup against both. Like, you don't mind fighting blood. I mean, you don't really want to be fighting either as Dragon. Like Storm Dragon, just you don't want to run into that blood, so you don't want to take that risk. And then like you don't like you only want to fight the dragon, so you just wait until the blood's out of the question, or you are forced to play your dragon before you play it. So getting rid of everything does get the Phantom Howl. That's a very important card in this matchup. That in Cerberus, you can win just by playing like a 1-2 drop, not caring about 3. Like Bone Chimera on 3's the best. And then you just go like Cerberus Phantom Howl, you just win as soon as they play Belphegor.
Man. You're pretty sure the Phantom Howl is super sick here. The MVP arriving on time. Did you see that Skull Beast?
Yes.
This hand was a little weaker, and then we drew Skull Beast, and everything was okay. He's been late to the party a couple times today. But now he's getting the habit. Draw him on turn 1.
No. Like what happened was he was in his like early teenager stages, just got freshman into high school, and was like, I'm not really into this party thing. Comes an hour late, thinking that it was a thing because he watched a High School Musical movie, and then he came in like, and he was like second and third game. Okay, I'll come on time. And now he's in like, you know, his early college years. Like, yeah, I'm always on time. I'm actually usually early to these parties as well now.
He was not early. He arrived exactly on time. Skull Beast.
Okay, he was running late. He had work. Okay, don't blame him.
He's a dog. Have you read the text, the flavor text on that card? It's so sad.
I heard that he had a really sad lore story.
Yeah, it's really sad. Less about Skull Beast and more about the fact that this blood-fed flower bed is like it betrayed
like infinite
the blood player
gambling.
earlier, so we'll see how it works out now.
Yeah. The thing about blood-fed flower blood in this list is like a lot of people were running Ambling Wraith, but this is like a 4 Ambling Wraiths in one card. Funny enough. And it also doesn't dilute your air jammer pool, so that's pretty cool.
It gives the beatdowns through wards is, I think, my big proponent for it. It's 1 mana 4 damage, and in a deck this aggressive, it's been a pretty good tech choice. Ending with a little better if you plan on always having a way to clear the wards, but sometimes you just can't get through the wave of Grimners and Rahabs, and you'd rather just get your damage for free.
Yeah, exactly.
At the cost of 1 life, I guess.
And there's a Belphegor now. This is interesting because he needs to have a Spiderweb Imp or Air Jammer into Spiderweb Imp, or things are going to get a bit difficult for him here because Lethal is just around the corner with Phantom Howl. So let's see. It's going to give him 4. Does he actually just have Lethal? 5, 7, 3? Yeah, that's Lethal. Yeah, he just has Lethal.
Again, the Flower Bed in combination, putting them at 9 plus the Reaper being so powerful in this matchup because of its abilities to not get cleared, makes this a relatively simplified game.
Yeah, just get Shadow Reaper and then Phantom Howl, and you pretty much just flood the board and win.
Reaper
The second time that
excellent
Mingles
counter to
has
this
done
deck.
this. Yeah. Wait, no, it wasn't Mingles. It was actually Viscera who did that to his opponent last time or something. I forget who. No, it's Viscera's opponent, Grimner. Grimner did that to him. But yeah, so pretty solid way. So Mingles just has to win with Dragon, but you know, there's still it's the Storm Dragon variant, so it's gonna really struggle against the Blood, but it also has the chance where it snowballs against the Blood because they do set themselves down to 10, so Forte, or some weird combination of cards that have Storm could just kill him as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways that he can storm out there. Blood probably has a pretty good shot here though. So we're gonna be looking to see what kind of ways we can keep on the board early game as the Dragon to sort of be able to press through the 10 health vengeance player. Mushi's a very powerful 2 here.
Yeah. I like Musashu here. I think you just get rid of the Breath of Salamander, to be honest. Like, it's not even that good. I mean, I guess it's going to get Succubus if he does that, but I would just prefer to have the Breath of Salamander go. He's just going to storm him out of this game. Just going to Musashu and storm. And he goes first as well.
Well then.
That's a way to deal with Vengeance Blood, I guess. Just beat him with a Musashu.
The evolves here are going to be very threatening, and the Flower Bed coming down again means that it's likely on turn, as early as turn 4 or 5, he's going to be at 9.
Yeah. So, let's see what happens here. Like, he has to have a Spiderweb Imp, or like
It's a
Wolf.
crazy draw.
Okay, Blood Wolf to kill it. Or he could just go face if he wants.
He is. Ooh.
That pretty much says that he has Belphegor in hand, because he doesn't care about the damage that's on board.
Now, as the Dragon player, do you breath or do you trade? He doesn't care about the damage in hand, but
I think he's
keeping our board established is really nice.
You just have to say, what if he doesn't have Belphegor? And plus you got another breath, so you don't really care.
This draw from the Dragon player is crazy.
Yeah. Just gonna be able to play another Musashu and breath this thing down. So even when his opponent Belphegors, there's still going to be a 4-2 Musashi on board, and then he can just Musashi again, Evo, trade in, and deal 6, and that sets up for the Forte lethal.
Ooh,
Hungering Horde.
man,
Nice.
timely. We're already down into vengeance territory.
Yeah,
this
he doesn't even
Forte
need the Belphegor.
is looking pretty scary. These games are so volatile, though. It's so close. Already, both players at 8 life.
So, how are you going to deal with this? You don't want to. You need to think about what kills you. Actually, there is only one combination that kills you, and that's another blood-fed firebed, with a wolf and razor claw. So that's a 3-card combo, meaning that's very unlikely. The other option is that if he goes Dark General and blood-fed firebed, and then you have to kill him next turn. So this is nice. I like it. It sets up lethal for yourself. And yeah, so he can't deal the blood can't deal any damage to himself this turn, and he has to start setting him lethal himself because then Forte becomes an issue.
There's a couple of really powerful plays here that out of the dead player. If we see a, as I say, if we see a drain here, it puts him in a pretty good position.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it looks like
I like that.
the dead player has the advantage again.
I like that play a lot, what he just did there, because this is really good. Because now he's going to have to use... now the thing is, if he plays 2 minions, he walks into the chances of Razor Claw, Dark General, anything that's 3 or more damage kills him, because he can just Evo the Urias, go face. So let's see what he does. So he does decide to just walk into that thing. I would have preferred to see... I mean, this sets up lethal as well for himself if he doesn't just clear the board. So let's see if he has it. He does have the Dark General, so that's going to be moving on to the 3rd game. So this is not over yet.
Wow. For more Shadowverse. We've received more Shadowverse. That game was wild. All of the Mashusus plus each player basically having lethal from turn 4 to turn 6 and trading back and forth. Nobody having any particularly strong cards in hand after that. 1 card versus 2. A close one. But Bloodcraft with its effective 2-drops managing to pull through against a bunch of 4-2s for 2. Surprisingly.
Exactly. So, let's see. We have the next matchup, which is just going to be... Now, this is the Storm Dragon Mirror against... and I believe it was just a basic dragon from Viseria, who's on the top. So, this is the matchup that is supposed to be in Mingle's favor and the matchup that he wanted. So, it all comes down to... Does he get the right cards to storm Viseria out of the game? And I think going first is a good start. But that isn't with your
play point hand. Not bad.
Yeah.
You can do better though.
Oh, that's a sick hand.
Very powerful.
Yes.
We ramping into oblivion.
Yeah, and he also has 3 draws and 2 Favor. So if he gets Favor, this hand's just absolutely crazy.
Favor. These cards are going to be... No, you're right. These cards are going to be quite useful in the mirror. See how much... Whoa! Yeah, ramping out of control.
Yeah.
We're gonna wind up playing 10 drops on turn 5.
If he gets Favor or another Oracle, he can get to 10 mana on turn 6. So let's see.
This is another Sybil.
No,
Nothing
just
like
gonna...
Battle Cruiser Shadowcraft.
So, this is weird, because, do you trade into the Rahab? I don't think you do. No. You're trading
There's
in...
no potential for the Rahab to get too out of control, right? It's
yeah, there is.
likely that they're playing there.
I think this turn you just... Wait, so you have 7, you go to 8, and then... So you're trading the Alea here, depending on what you draw. I don't think that warrants trading an Alea. I'd rather keep the body for damage, because he can just deal with it normally.
Be gone.
We're gonna start pressing the attack here. See what we've got. The Forte Dragon having many more cards, which means that he's likely to be advantaged in the long game, but Storm having so much more pressure makes this game actually much more close than it appears.
All must come to an end.
7 cards in hand, or 8 even. It's going to be a lot of things he's going to have to slug through.
So,
It won't be long
this is
now.
where Forte just starts beating him down, right?
Spear will stop you.
I imagine he has removal here for it though, with him going up to 9 cards here. Ouroboros is clear. There it is.
Nice clear. I think you Evo trade.
To witness my true strength.
Yeah. You just saw
A little
4K.
bit too much pressure to not Evo there. Plus it possibly sets up
Take a break.
some pretty crazy turns for him on the following turn.
And this also means that you don't really care too much about the Grimner if it comes down. The only, like, nothing kills you after, like, if you didn't trade, then Genesis Dragon kills you. So that's a key thing to think about. So he's gonna play Sybil here. Now this is a pretty interesting thing because that Ouroboros can actually clear this entire board and you heal nothing. So I don't know if I agree with that play, because now Ouroboros can just trade. Oh wait, no, he can't. He can just go for this and then Bahamut. That's better. I was about to say, like, all he had to do was play like any 1/2 mana card, and then he could have just suicide the Ouroboros and clear this
There's
entire
no
board.
one else I'd rather.
But that's it.
So
That's
what
game.
we lose to. That's game. Wow.
Storm Dragon just didn't draw for Vor, which he needed to actually get the steam in order to win the late game. So
His opponent drawing 4 extra cards that game really gave him enough options to basically walk on his techie plays. Although we saw how powerful Forte was in the Dragon Mirror earlier, Forte is a lot less powerful when your opponent has everything, all the options. But
yeah,
both players playing very tight in that best of 3.
definitely. So that means Viseria is going to walk away as the winner of TCG eSports number 20, 2-1 against Mingles. Mingles, very interesting next, very nice play on his Shadow there in the early part, but sadly his Storm Dragon just could not deal with the pressure from the Vengeance Blood. It was a very close match there, and then just that he just didn't have that late game steam, unlike his opponent, and he just didn't have enough early game pressure to make up for the lack of steam either. So pretty unfortunate there in that last game, but hey, it happens. Still very well played. Second place is nothing to laugh at, and yeah, so that was awesome. So I was really glad to see some blood.
I think that one of the big takeaways we can look at is that the format seems to have stabilized pretty nicely. A lot of the decks seem to have pretty good counterplay against each other. You can tailor your lineups to be particularly good against other people, and Shadow doesn't just win all the time when you see it. So not garnering 100% ban rate means you get to see it more and you get to beat it more, and that's something we can all find pretty refreshing, I imagine.
Yes. And now we watch Richie as he's going to spend all 3k gold, even though the expansion's coming out for the viewers, right?
Ha!
That's
Your
what's gonna
face!
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. And now
Don't
that I
ignore
said
me.
it,
Yeah, the 3.2
wait, can they hear you,
goes
Rich? Can they hear
hard
us?
Possibly. Probably.
Okay, they can hear. I'm gonna assume that they can hear a ghost.
Looks like you've seen a ghost.
Yeah. So we're gonna wait, Richie.
What?
Why are you playing bad dragon decks?
TLDR for short. I was told to play this on stream, and I
Wait, who was
complained
told?
about several things about this deck, which is
The fact that it's
why
bad?
Neptune
Because Lorcas.
and why 3
Cute.
poly
Cute little Lorcas.
and why no third Forte.
Why Chaos Dragon? What's the point of it? Are you gonna do that?
I
and
don't
then
know why
turn
Chaos
7
Dragon
play-
is in here either.
Okay, I mean, I guess I
Turn
understand it with
7
polymorphic
poly.
lore, right? You bring that and then you have turn
I mean,
6,
he
turn
runs this
7.
too.
Dragon is there. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's like draw. That's just
You're
because
just trying to play the roar on like the earliest turn you can.
I don't know.
Wow. Too bad Roar is terrible.
Polyphonic is
mean,
not
people
terrible.
are playing
It's
it
good
in
if
a
you're
lot of-
grinding the game to death. Which
It's only good in the mirrors.
Apparently.
Okay.
In any case,
So-
though, for those of you guys watching, thank you so much for hanging out. and checking out the tournament stream from TCG eSports. They do it every Thursday. You can check them out. If you go through Battlefy, look up TCG space eSports, and you should be able to find them. Their next tournament is tournament number 21 next Thursday, same time. So if you want to be on stream and to be casted upon, we normally do open casters, meaning like anybody who wants to try to come in to cast or give it a try, they can just come in and do it for a couple of hours. So stream is from 9 to 11 or 11:30.
Isn't that also gonna be the last TCG esports before the expansion?
Probably. No, they have one more next Thursday.
Are you sure?
Yeah. The expansion's
no,
on
I
the
mean
29th.
like the next one is the last one.
Yeah, the next one's the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's on the 22nd, meaning that the next one, oh yeah, it comes out exactly on the same day as the expansion for the following week.
Yep.
That's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't get cut
So-
off like it did last time.
Yep. Alongside with that, tomorrow we'll be doing a reverse take-two tournament event. I think it will be the first to be on stream, showing on both hands, as well as a viewing of what our opponent is going to screw up the other opponent. So in case of you who don't know what reverse take-two, it's a private match where you can simply go to multi right here, go to private, and create a match, and you can click take two, change, and create your opponent's deck. That is the reverse take two, and you can simply play it. Allow. Oh wait a minute. Aha! Maybe we can't allow to spectate. Maybe I should do some experimenting. We might revert it back, but I don't know. I assumed it was working. In any case though, for those of you who are watching, I appreciate you guys checking out the stream, and hopefully we'll get to see you guys tomorrow. If we're not able to stream it tomorrow, well,
There's also C/OC.
there's always C/OCE happening tonight.
Tonight? It's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Who's producing it?
That is Roxos.
Okay.
Yes.
Roxos will be producing it, and then followed by
Born. And
Bjorn
me.
or Born.
Yes.
So
Bjorn.
Bjorn.
Just say Bjorn.
Bjorn.
Yes.
Bjorn.
Make it as Swedish as possible. Bjorn.
Yeah.
Bjorn.
So our tonight's casters is MS Red and Mana Surge Glass Fist as well. Glass Fist is the guy that you hear a lot of forced speaking thingy mabob, so he's getting hopefully a new mic.
Yeah, my other mic was killed by a car accident.
Yeah.
Feels bad, man. I won't
Feels bad.
explain why.
So
Who did a better mic?
Aside from that, hopefully we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday follow with that. We'll be doing singles tournament. No prizes, but hopefully, we get a decent amount of people so that we can go over to watch for the first day and the second day. Followed by
you're
after.
lying. There is a prize. It's the prize of being the greatest sabotager in the world.
Anyways, so we'll be streaming that, and then followed by how to stream through and surviving the noob account through Daria deck. So, aside from that, thank you guys for coming in, Red and Glassfist, and also thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for having us.
See y'all next time. Thanks for joining.
Take care, guys.